Well, let's hope this isn't something that's going to test the result right now, because it's called final preparations. Let's hope this is maybe giving us one last chance to earn some stats, hopefully. Otherwise, I've got a bad feeling about this. Final preparations. The carriage takes you further down the city's narrow streets. They are filled with noble carriages and commoners hurrying about their business, but the driver skillfully avoids them all. You watch the city uneasily from behind the carriage doors. The past few months have been so tense and challenging. They felt like a single, unbearable moment. You had to face one ordeal after another, and Otton's case sometimes fell by the wayside. But you have no doubt that the outcome of this case will determine your fate. Your previous encounters with the haughty commander have assured you of that. The time to strike Otton down is coming soon. Right now you need to make your final preparations. Your gut tells you that time is running out. Either you seize the initiative, or Otton will destroy you himself. But what should you focus on at this critical juncture? You consider your options. So I can bide my time and get some willpower. I can start rumors among the aristocracy, which would get my career up by 1. That would get my career to 7. I don't think that helps me. Or I can address the people with a speech. To gather public support for your case, you go to the square and publicly voice your accusations against Otton. Alright, good thing we've got that eloquence. Yeah, I think this is what we have to do, because we need to get up to 8, right? For the destiny. Yeah, 8. Okay, let's go back. We're going to... No, not rumors. We're going to address the people with a speech. Hopefully Otton doesn't find out about it. There's no turning back now. It is time to show the arrogant Arcanian that you no longer fear his wrath. The common people will support you. You tell the driver to take you to Gold Square. The square in front of the Chancellery is as crowded as ever, teeming with people of all estates and ranks. Once in the square, you ascend a raised platform and address the crowd as loudly as you can. At first, the people pay you no heed, and merely hurry along. But as your speech continues, every pair of eyes soon turns to you. Excited voices fill the square. Who's that? It's Judge Brante. You begin your accusatory speech. The people of Anazote have a right to know about Dorius Otton's crimes. His duty as military commander is to preserve peace in the province, but he behaves like a lawless villain, murdering his own soldiers left and right. His duty as a highborn noble is to rule over his subjects wisely, but instead he brings dishonor to all of Magra. The mob responds with murmurs, confused at first. Is this an act of defiance by a common judge? Is a human really speaking out against one of the most powerful Arcanians in the province? Many flee the square in terror as soon as they realize what you are saying, hoping to stay out of harm's way. But you also catch a few awkward shouts of support from among the din. Down with the tyrant! We won't stand for it! You latch on to those words. Yes, down with Otton! You will put an end to his crimes. But you cannot do it all by yourself. If the citizens of Anazote want justice, if they want to defend their rights, they have to be brave, and stand their ground against the lawless commander when the time comes. Any citizen of Anazote who is fed up with the noble tyranny must rally to your cause. Ecstatic shouts fill the square. The people deserve rights. Down with Otton! We're with you, Judge! You descend the platform triumphant. Many voices of support follow you out of the square. When the time comes to clash with Otton, the people will support you. But do the common folk have what it takes to openly defy the age-old rule of an Arcanian? We'll see. I most certainly hope we can, take him down. Thomas deserves vengeance. Here we go. The hour has come. You stand at the window of your office and watch the living streets below, exhausted. For over a year, Anazote has been steadily simmering with unrest, like a soup pot over a well-stoked flame. The endless feud between the Archduke and the Overseer. The first trials against nobles, insurgencies flaring up all across the Empire. Grim, heavy, dark red storm clouds now hang in the sky above Anazote. Preachers of the new faith fill the streets, urging the people to reject the lots. The abbots of the temple at the Silver Tree, Father Lennart, has turned the city's most ancient church into a new believer stronghold. Commoners flock to the squares in droves. The mobs grow bolder and bolder as they demand new freedoms and protection under the law. Commoners have begun forming armed militias. The last straw insurgents commit brazen acts hoping to overthrow the authorities. The nobles of the sword demand that every mob be dispersed by force. They are ready to fight for their ancient privileges, sword in hand. You cast a glance back at your desk, still covered with piles of paperwork for Otton's case. You have been working on it for over 2 years now. This case will have to reach a conclusion someday. But when? Will you be able to free yourself from the mortal peril into which it has drawn you? Your thoughts are interrupted by heavy footsteps and clacking hooves. The square in front of the prefecture quickly clears as workers and merchants do their best to flee. A legion battalion is advancing on the prefecture. It is led by Dorius Otton, on horseback and in full armor. He rides right up to the steps. The square resounds with his commanding voice. I am Dorius Otton, High Commander of this province, and I have come to demand justice. I have proof that a judge named Brian Brante has been collecting slander for years, seeking to tarnish the Otton name. How do I know? Well, he just gave a speech about it in the middle of the public square. So, clearly he wasn't particularly trying to keep it under wraps. Anyways, I have already warned this judge, and I will not stand idly by in the face of an insult. To accuse me is to undermine the rule of the Archnians, our noble traditions, and the sacred order of the Empire itself. I demand that a stop be put to this campaign of defamation. I expect Judge Brante to burn this so-called case right now. Until that happens, my battalion is under orders to treat all those who serve at the prefecture as traitors to the crown. No one will leave this building until I see these vile accusations against an Archnian dynasty burned to ash. Elborn comes rushing into your office. He is pale as a ghost, but trying his hardest to remain composed. Brian, Otton, caught us off guard. I knew we should have begun his trial much sooner. He has the upper hand now. No one will come to our aid. We must give Otton our reply. It's all up to you now, Sir Bonce. This is it, the moment of truth. How will you respond to Otton's ultimatum? Without saying a word, you stare out the window again. The sky is dark and overcast, thunder echoing in the distance. The Legion soldiers stand still, awaiting new orders. Otton's horse is right by the stairs as he awaits your reply. The past several years flash before your eyes. Cases and verdicts, threats and promises, decisions and deeds. Where have they led you? Your career, your province? How will you approach the task of rebuffing one of the mightiest Archnians in the province? It will all be decided now. Well, apparently there's a difference between charging him and summoning him. So charging, you respond to Otton by summoning him to trial. Yeah, okay. You respond to Otton by summoning to a trial the power of the law. Oh, I see, okay. So essentially this is, I've got evidence. This is, the judiciary has gotten very powerful. This is what it's all been leading up to. We will summon Otton to trial. You descend the stairs and walk to the door of the prefecture, ready to meet Otton face to face. You've worked hard to defend the rule of law within the province, and your efforts have borne fruit. Commoners, nobles, even Archnians, all are now equal before the law. It is thanks to you that this change has taken root, both in and out of court. You have had to sacrifice your own career and your family's reputation. You have been intimidated and shunned by your peers. But now, you will see through to the very end. Otton is not just any noble Archnian. He is the High Commander of the province, the right hand of Archduke Melanidas. But he will stand trial nonetheless. Your evidence may be lacking, but when the people hear of it, the court will have no choice but to find him guilty. And you have the support of Prefect Elborn, who is ready to repay your loyalty. You approach Otton and face him. He dismounts his horse, but clad in a full suit of ancient armor, the Archnian is still a head taller than you. Here you are at last, Brante. You obeyed me and came out. A wise choice. But where are all the papers you are to burn? You stare down the High Commander and tell him that his case awaits him in the court of law, to which he has been summoned. You hereby accuse Dorius Otton of murdering 19 servants of the Empire. The trial will begin 3 days hence and is open to all citizens of Anazote. You vile wretch! How dare you give orders to an Archnian? Or do you want me to round up and tally and make it 20? You do not even flinch at his words. Behind you, the pillars of the prefecture, the stronghold of law and justice, reach up for the sky. You notice people flocking to the square, taking heed of your voice. Have no fear, Judge Brante, they shout. Protect the judge! The commoners form a living wall between you and the furious Archnian warrior. Battalion! Prepare for battle! Disperse the mob! But the Legion's soldiers behind Otton are already faltering. The Legionnaires no longer wish to tolerate the murder of their brothers in arms. The battalion captain stares at Otton, his eyes like daggers. Sheath your swords, he commands his men. About face! To the barracks, march! Abandoned, the Archnian looks around in confusion, alone and armor-clad, like a painting of old brought to life. Traitors! You dare call yourselves nobles? You all pay for this, every last one of you. As will you, Brante, your low-born cronies, and your foul court. Otton leaps into the saddle and flees the square, booed by the resentful crowd. You let out a loud sigh. Only now do you realize how incredibly tense you felt. Elborn's hand comes to rest on your shoulder. We've won, Brian. Otton is already lost, whether he knows it or not. Prepare for the trial, Brante. The sky over Anazote splits apart, showering the dust-covered streets with long-awaited rain. Otton's sentence. The day of the trial has come. The large prefecture courtroom is overcrowded. The gentry rarely, if ever, visit this place, to say nothing of the Archnian dynasties, but this is an unprecedented occasion. The man about to stand trial is an Archnian, one born to rule. Dorius of the Otton dynasty, the High Commander of Magra, the Archduke's second in command. All of the elites, provincial aristocracy, is here today to show their support for Otton. You see Magistrate L. Verman among them, as well as many other nobles. You have angered as a judge. The noblemen are restless, clutching uneasily at the hilts of their swords. Prefect Elborn presides over the trial. Gaius Tempest occupies the seat of honor next to him. The overseer's face remains coldly indifferent. Your time has come. You walk to the podium, step after step, the weight of their gazes on your backs. Thanks to your efforts, commoners and nobles must now face trial equally. Those born to rule have no choice but to submit to the justice system. Step by step, the future depends on what you are about to say. You begin the opening statement for the prosecution. First, you say, that Sir Dorius Otton, a high-born noble, has been found in violation of the Emperor's ban on dueling, with ample evidence to that effect. Enough of this! I've already wasted far too much time on this pathetic trial. So you want my money, eh, Judge? Very well, I'll pay all the fines the Otton bloodline can afford them, and more. But I was born into my lot, and that lot is to wage war and kill. Thus do I serve the divine design, and no once low-born human is going to teach me how to live by my lot. In the sight of Gaius Tempest, a fellow nobleman born to rule, I demand an end to this disgraceful farce. May no Archnian ever be summoned again to this filthy courtroom, fit for peasants and petty merchants. The stalls grow silent. All eyes turn to the overseer. Gaius Tempest winces and knits his brow. He casts a glance over the nobles gathered in the courtroom, then nods for Elborn to continue. In one sense, Sir Otton, you are correct. It is truly disgraceful to see an Archnian stoop so low that he must be brought before this court. The trial will continue. Sir Brante, please conclude your opening statement. You move on to the core of your accusations, speaking with such force that it shakes the stalls. Otton has not merely violated the dueling ban, he has taken lives of at least 19 of his subordinates, all loyal servants of the Emperor. This is murder. It is an act of sabotage against the Legion. It is treason against the Emperor himself. You speak these last words right in Otton's face. All the grumbling voices from the stalls immediately grow quiet. The High Commander turns pale with fury. Gaius Tempest, you are an overseer. You hail from the Emperor's own bloodline. Are you going to allow this unprincipled human scum to decide an Arachnean's fate? Why, this is nothing more than a bid to seize power. The very power that has flowed down our veins since the Empire was founded. Gaius Tempest rises from his seat, his calm countenance twisted with rage. The Imperial Court of Justice is that very power. Muffled gasps and quiet cries echo from the stalls. The High Commander grits his teeth and stares defiantly at Gaius Tempest. Then you are the traitor here, Your Grace. You are the one who has betrayed the province, nay, the entire Empire, by condemning us to the mercy of the humans and their lowly, dishonorable law. Archduke Melanidas is the only one who still remembers his honor as an Arachnean, and a noble of justice is on his side. I say this before the entire aristocracy of Anazote. The nobles in the stalls who have come to stand with Otton recoil in terror. His supporters retreat further into the recesses of the courtroom. You are mad, Otton. Be quiet or I shall silence you permanently. Proceed with the verdict, Prefect. Elborn exchanges a meaningful glance with you and ascends to the podium. Dorius Otton, for violating the ban on dueling, manslaughter of Imperial servants, and treason against Overseer Gaius Tempest, this court hereby deprives you of your sword and sentences you to eternal exile from the province of Magra. Otton stands still, unmoving, unflinching. The gendarmes cautiously approach the Arachnean to take his sword. Otton suddenly draws the blade himself and hands it to the officers of the court. Otton's sword comes to rest in your hands. The entire courtroom watches you, holding its breath. Raising your old nemesis's weapon above your head, you turn to face the courtroom. You snap Otton's blade in half. The venerable old steel shatters with a ringing sound, reduced to pathetic broken fragments. Blood trickles down your arms, but you do not notice the pain. Otton's eyes are dead and empty as he stares at you. He staggers to his feet, stumbles at the door, and walks away. His steps echo loudly in the deafening silence of the courtroom. Dorius Otton, once the High Commander of Magra, has been stripped of his sword and banished to exile. Relations -4. Yeah, I can see why. Your bloodied hands still clutch the verdict. Today marks a precedent the likes of which the Empire has never seen. The old ways will never be the same. Thanks to you, change has been put in motion today. There's no stopping it now. Oh, order and wealth. Man, that guy was so terrible that just getting him out has actually helped stabilize society somewhat. Good. Otton is sentenced. You convicted Commander Otton in a court of law. End of Chapter 4. Peacetime. Peaceful years are over. The storm of the revolt is brewing in Anazote. Tomorrow will be the day when you will reap the harvest of all your deeds during these 8 years. It was a lot happened. Service to the prefecture, promise to Elborn, protected the people, affair with Octavia, a deal with Egmont, Otton's case, Gloria's betrothal, Mother's demise, Octavia's transformation, Gloria's marriage, and Otton's sentence. Hopefully the revolt isn't too, bad.